more than likely. So they're probably being intoxicated in public. So those are that's an arrestable offense itself. So if we can tell that somebody's intoxicated and they're swimming in the water, we're going to arrest them because it's not safe.
So your dock's okay, right? You can get drunk if you want on your dock, as long as you don't touch the water, you can't.
Correct.
Or say you're drunk, get my boat.
Correct. This just explains public intoxication. It says to the extent that they may unreasonably annoy, endanger themselves or others. That's kind of like the baseline of what public intoxication is. Operating under the influence. Alcohol is a leading contributing factor in all fatal boating accidents. It is against the law to operate a boat, vessel, or a jet ski. It's any kind of vessel, pretty much, or manipulate water skis, surfboards, similar devices. So a lot of people don't understand that if you're skiing, you're on a tube, and you're intoxicated, that itself is boating under the influence. Like, that's included. So you can't just go and be drunk and start skiing and have a sober driver, because you're breaking the law too. You can't do that while intoxicated or under the influence of any other substance. Any person who operates a vessel in Kentucky waters is considered to have given consent for us to take a test, for us to do one of our tests, either our field sobriety test or other sobriety test, or our intoxilizer blood test. Basically, if you're operating a boat, you've already given consent. So as far as driving a vehicle goes, you have a license, it's a privilege to drive, you've given consent to this exact same thing. They've just basically made it to where you've given consent if you're boating. So you're and it says, I don't know if it says it. In the law, it actually says if you deny, or if you say you don't want to have a test, then basically you can have the penalty of the charge just by denying. So water safety requirements. This is where I was going to talk about some of the issues here with the dam and the swimming area down here. It says this person shall not water ski or tow a person water skiing within 100 feet of a commercial boat dock, a moorage harbor, or a swimming area. So down here, the swimming area it has its own little markers. So it says 100 feet from the swimming area, not from somebody swimming. So that's an extra 100 feet past what that is. So here I've marked it on this picture. I went into the GPS and marked 100 feet out at each one of these points. This, from the edge of this where I've marked to the other side, is only probably 200 feet. So basically, and you can't be within 100 feet of a dock pulling anybody skiing either. So you got about 100 feet in the middle of this channel right here that you can actually pull somebody skiing. And then if you got two boats in there, I mean, you're obviously gonna have to miss each other, so you don't have pretty much any room. So that's something to think about, that's not acceptable, in our eyes. If we see somebody doing that, it's illegal.
My brother actually got killed right there.
Right there?
Right there. 1976. July 10th. He got killed right there.
So next is within 2,000 feet of a dam or a lock. So 2,000 feet brings us almost out to, I can't remember the name of the road. I think it's Red Bud maybe over there on the other side. But it's technically from 2,000 feet away from a dam, you're not allowed to have people skiing or tubing. The reason I bring this up is because people have specifically called me and told me that people are tubing up against the dam almost. And this is obviously a law for a reason. It's going to break down the dam, whatever it may be. That's kind of, we can enforce that, but I'm kind of thinking that I want to leave it up to you guys, because that's your dam. I mean, we're going to enforce this on any lake that we maintain the dam, because it's our dam. We don't want it destroyed. It's going to destroy your dam, and it's not safe. And if we see you doing it while we're out here, we're going to charge you for it. Boating safety equipment. This is standard boating safety equipment. Required equipment. This is for a boat over 16 foot, soon to be a gas-powered boat. You need a life jacket for each person, a fire extinguisher, a Type 4 throwable cushion, and a sounding device, a horn or a whistle of some sort. Horn on the boat, horn, air horn, whatever it may be. But those are the 4 things you have to have on the boat, or you'll be charged for not having. It's the next charge. KRS 235, it's required equipment. The other thing is nav lights are required on your boat regardless after sunset. So you gotta have that.
And sunset is when the sun goes down on the horizon.
No, there's a specific time for sunset.
Right, but I mean, what I'm saying exactly, it's not dark, it's
Right.
sunset. Sunset is about an hour and a half before dark.
Sunset, you can go on, I can pull up my Weather Underground app and I can scroll down and it'll show me the exact sunset time for today. Every day is different. We'll give you a little bit of room. We're not gonna, be out there right at 6:30, hey, you gotta have your nav lights on. So we're gonna give a little bit of room, we understand, but that is the time, per law, that's what the time is,
Right.
at sunset.
And there's no skiing after sunset either, right?
Correct, no jet skis either.
While you're on the topic of lights, is there any KRS about driving with your docking lights on?
You're not driving with your docking lights on.
Thank you.
Kentucky law defines, this is idle speed, the slowest possible speed to maintain maneuverability of your boat. So that's, and the next thing is, everybody sees no wake signs, that's idle speed only, okay? If a bigger boat, it's gonna idle a little bit faster, that's one thing, but if you're in any kind of no wake zone or any kind of area that's you're not allowed to be driving over idle speed, you can't be driving anything closer than one bump up and your boat's going on its own just barely. That's what it has to be. Waterway safety requirements. This is congested areas where you would have to be idle only. A person shall not operate a vessel above idle speed in a harbor or congested area. Down here would be obviously a congested area. Within 100 feet of a commercial dock or generally recognized moorage area. That's every dock. Every dock is recognized as a moorage area. By law, you can't be within 100 feet above idle speed going by any one of these docks out here at all. A person shall not operate a vessel in a designated swimming area in a manner in which would endanger a swimmer or other person in the water, or in a circular course around a swimmer or fisherman. That's pretty specific. It's pretty plain. General boating safety requirements. If the vessel is operating faster than idle speed, a person shall not ride. So these are prohibited riding positions. On an enclosed bow, outside the protective railing, on a pontoon or houseboat, on a seat which is 6 inches above the gunnels, on the sides, back, engine cover, or seat back of a boat, or in any obviously dangerous position which could lead to falling overboard. So if you think it looks dangerous, then it's probably dangerous. Approximately half of the boat-related fatalities result from falls overboard. Accident reporting requirements. I'm gonna bring this up because I've heard multiple people say that there's been hit and runs that haven't been reported. By this law, you have to report. The boater, whoever creates the damage, has to report by law. A boating accident report must be made if any of the following occur: a death or disappearance of a person, injury to a person which requires medical attention, loss or damage of property, including a vessel, and the amount of $500 or more. If a fiberglass boat gets hit, you need to make a report. It's probably going to be more than $500 to repair. So just assume if you get into any kind of little accident, you have to report it by law. The operator of the vessel is required to complete the report. Even if we fill out a report, the operator still has to fill out a report. Period. That's the law. So these are just some Coast Guard statistics that I found from 2022. This is all as a result of recreational boating accidents. There's 4,040 total accidents, 2,222 injuries, 636 deaths, and $63 million in damage, roughly. The 5 primary contributing factors are operator inattention, operator inexperience, improper lookout, excessive speed, and machinery failure. Alcohol use is the leading contributing factor in fatal boat accidents, and it's the leading factor in 16% of all the deaths. Where the cause of death is known, this basically is saying 75% of fatal boating accident victims were drowned, and of those 75%, 85% of them weren't wearing a life jacket. So, next, I'm going to point out some stuff that we don't want to see here, specifically. We don't want to see it anywhere. We never want to see this type of stuff, but this is, I hate to see this in general, even finding this stuff to put on here, you know, it bothers us in general. So everybody's probably heard of the Murdoch case in South Carolina or North Carolina, South Carolina. This is the Murdoch son who was boating under the influence and ended up killing one of his passengers on the boat. This is a 15-year-old. This is 3 days ago. She was on a boat with a bunch of friends, and the father was driving. They ended up hitting a barrier of some sort, and she ended up dying. This crash right here is a group of people. The father was driving, a group of girls. They were out partying. At first, they were saying there's no alcohol involved. Later on, this is the bottom picture. Come to find out, there's plenty of alcohol involved. But basically, I mean, this is another instance of a 17-year-old girl dying for no reason out on the water. 3-year-old dies from falling off a boat. Based on the story, he got hit by a prop. I'm not sure how he was sitting, but obviously it was not safe for a 3-year-old to be sitting in any sort of way that's not contained, period. 4 members of the same family killed. The guy ended up being charged with reckless operation and boating under the influence. So he was drunk. He ended up killing. It ended up being 5 people. It's just this article was showing forward, but 5 people died because one guy was drunk. This 7-year-old.
I'm glad you said that. You don't have to be falling down drunk to be under the influence. It's the same operating vessel as it is a motor vehicle on the highway. If your blood alcohol content is 0.08 greater, no matter what your body type, you're legally deemed to be under the influence. And there's a lot of people, especially if you drink, that could be 0.1, and you're talking to them, you'd never know that it's intoxicated. So this is, with probably 90% of the time we arrest someone for boating under the influence, they will swear they're not drunk, they're not under the influence. They may be twice the legal limit.
It's also illegal too, isn't it, for someone who's under 21 to be drinking?
If you're under 21 per se, it's 0.02.
Okay.
You can't legally drink in Kentucky if you're under 21, but you can't operate any kind of vehicle. You can't operate an ATV on the highway if you're under 21 and you have BAC of 0.01 or 0.02. So I'm sorry for interrupting. I just I knew I'd forget it if I did bring it up.
So in my opinion, I'm not speaking for everybody, this is my opinion. Boating, somebody driving drunk on a boat is way more dangerous than somebody even driving drunk in a car. And I say that because more than likely somebody driving a boat, they either have more passengers with them, they don't have a life jacket more than likely on. Most adults don't wear a life jacket. You're gonna see, you just saw 5 people got killed, a family of 5 got killed by one person drinking under the influence. If that boat is out of control, it can hit whoever. There's always going to be a bunch of people on the lake. Families, always going to be families. None of them are wearing a seatbelt because they can't. Most of them aren't wearing a life jacket. So the likelihood that accident is going to kill somebody is extremely high, in my opinion. So I believe it's more dangerous than driving drunk in a vehicle in a normal car. Exactly. So this is a 7-year-old girl. Her and her father were out on a tube, I think, and they ended up being hit. I guess they swung out and they got hit by a pontoon. The little girl died. The father ended up, he made it, but the little girl did pass away. This right here, this is the father of a girl killed. The girl was killed because somebody in a pontoon backed up and hit her with a prop. The father was trying to save her, and then he was hospitalized for a couple days, and then he died. Tragic. This is a mom who accidentally killed her 6-year-old child. Basically, it says it right here. Her parents lost track of who was in the water. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. You got all kinds of people out here in the water having parties, whatever. It's easy to lose track of somebody. It's easy to lose track of somebody who's not even on your boat. So hitting somebody with a prop like this, it cut the girl's leg off. So that's how dangerous that is. instant, somebody backs up and hits the throttle, I mean, it's gonna kill somebody. So that's extremely dangerous. Now, all this stuff isn't happening every day here or anywhere, but this could happen with the amount of people that are in the water and that you saw in the water. This could happen at any point. And it's inevitable when you have that many people and that much alcohol involved. So I'm adding, this is a QR code. I got multiple of these. This one's for the Kentucky Boating Safety Course. This one's for the KRS, all the Kentucky Ride statutes. That's all the laws. And then I got a QR for the Kentucky Administrative Regulations. So if you guys want to go and look at all the stuff I just talked about, I'll give you all the charges, everything. You can go look at them yourself and read them yourself and see exactly what they say.
Hey, a little late. Did you talk about non-power boating on the water at all? Like kayakers, canoers?
No. What do you have any specific?
Well, just we have a small lake and a lot of people are out on kayaks and canoes around and any suggestions for?
Power boat has to give way to the canoe.
Yeah.
Are you done with PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Any man-made or man-powered vessel, kayaks, canoes, they have the right of way. So I don't know if that's the specific of what you're getting at, but if someone's pulling a tube and there's a kayak crossing in front of them, the motorboat has to give way.
Is there a distance you have to be? I mean, like a boat, like on a canoe and a boat's coming, do they have to be a certain?
There's no specific distance, but it's common sense. You have to operate safely and to not endanger that person's life.
It does specifically say that you cannot drive by somebody and create a wake that could capsize another vessel.
Even if you're driving a powered vessel in an open area where you're allowed to be under on full throttle, if your wake creates damage to something, you are responsible for the damage of your wake. So if you pass 150 feet out in front of one of these docks and someone's property that's tied up to it is damaged, you're responsible for that damage.
So your information was more about the powerboat's responsibility, but I was kind of looking forward to the paddler's responsibility, what they should know. Common sense says don't get in the middle of the lake, but
Right.
people don't always do that. They're cutting across or whatever.
There's no law that says they have to stay on the channel.
Okay.
They're as equally entitled to the channel as any other powerboat. It wasn't on the PowerPoint. He did say all vessels 16 foot or larger are required to have life jackets, fire extinguisher. Anytime you're on the water in a vessel, kayak, canoe, you're required to have a PFD for everyone that's in that vessel.
That includes a paddleboard, right?
Yes.
Because I know several years ago I asked and they were like, well, it's not really, they were new then.
Yeah.
But still, you're supposed to
You don't have to have it on.
You don't have to have it
but
on,
you have to have
strapped on there or something like that.
If you're paddling a blow-up air mattress across the lake, you gotta have a life jacket. It's a vessel at that point.
If you have, he mentioned child under 12 years old. If a child is in a power vessel under 12 years old, anytime that boat is operating, the child has to have a PFD on. And it has to be one that fits the child. It has to be a child's PFD. A lot of times we'll see adult PFDs with a generic orange PFDs on a child. Well, in reality, if that child fell in the water, he'd slip right out of that and get stripped in the bottom.
Can you get a DUI on a kayak?
Yes. The more proper, if something like that was to happen, I mean, of course, we're all gonna use common sense. We say what the law is, but we're gonna use discretion anytime we come down here. We're not gonna come down here and every violation, get out a ticket book. But part of enforcing a law is making the law feared, is enforcement. So if we come down here and turn a blind eye to every violation we see, no one's gonna pay attention to it. And we have limited resources and manpower. We can't get down here every weekend in the summer. We just can't. So when we do come down, we have to leave a little bit of an impact. But I promise you, we're gonna use discretion. And we're not willy-nilly charging everybody we see for every violation. We want everybody to have fun. We just want everybody to be safe, because believe me, we've seen plenty of gory sites that we've had to dredge out of the Ohio River or Williamstown Lake, and it's not fun for us. And we don't want anybody that on this lake experienced that. I know this gentleman right here had his own brother killed right out here, several years ago, and the lake's been fairly lucky. I know there has been some hit and run accidents, but the lake has been fairly lucky.
How many hit and run accidents? I only know of one.
I myself worked one, 2 or 3 years ago.
Right?
Right, that's the one we're all talking about.
Right.
That was a big one, frankly.
I have one other question about the dam, 2,000 feet. About 15 years ago, and I did go in the office with Lacey and get the stuff, I sent stuff to you guys and had extensive conversations with one of the captains down there about stuff, and I registered all the locations of our no-wake buoys and all the buoys on here with GPS, and they were sent to the state of Kentucky to you guys and that, and he said, you know, everything looks good. And on the dam thing, he said that the thing with that is, at 2,000 feet, I mean, you're talking about a half mile. He said the reason for that is, those are dams with suction, like you're on the Ohio River, things like that, where you don't want to be out swimming, you don't want to have, nobody should be in the water in that area at all. Our dam is not I mean, truthfully, you could swim right near the dam without being sucked over, sucked in, or anything, just like the shoreline of that. You know, there's people with their boat docks down there closer than that. And that was explained to me by you guys at that time when I registered all the buoys, and he said, yeah, everything looks good. And actually, our buoy locations were put in by Mr. Lee Mays and one of you guys back in, I think, 1966, and they went around and said where they should put all the buoys, because that's where they said, you know, a boat cannot turn around skiing or whatever, and we have always tried to work with you on all those things.
Right.
But to say that we can't, I mean, within a half mile, you're talking Red Hawk Lane, I mean,
Well, that's is in the PowerPoint to let you all know what the law is.
Right.
And that you could potentially be doing damage to your dam by operating that way.
yeah.
I know myself, I've never cited anybody or even stopped anyone for skiing within 2,000 feet of the dam.
Because I mean, Williamstown, I mean, there's a, I mean, that's, you know, and I understand it 100%. The Ohio River or, you know, Wolf Dam and Cumberland or that, you know, nobody should be in the water because there's currents and things like that. But I mean, that's one of those things to me, seems like a common sense thing with you guys. I mean, you know, my one other question I have for you is, and I looked in the Kentucky statutes and I didn't find it, just I was looking, but a long time ago I looked and it says that Kentucky fishing licenses, the money from fishing license is for stocking and for education and things like that for sportsmen and fishing. That's what it said. So the money from fishing license is for that, but every time that we have ever asked here, the state tells us they will not help us with stocking at all because we're a private lake. So we're a private lake, they tell us they won't help us stocking, but they want us to pay to fish the fish that we pay to stock in here. To me, that just, I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I see your point, but when they gave you a definition or a general description of what fishing licenses pay for, that's not totally just for stocking.
Well, I know that it's
It
a
goes
longer
to
thing
fund
than
the
the
whole
KRS, but
department.
one of the things is,
It goes to fund us
Right.
being here enforcing our boats are
right,
$20,000-$30,000.
right, I agree, and that's what they go to, but to me, you guys are kind of having your cake and eat it too. Our sportsman's club stocks the lake and puts fish in here, we put fish in here, and the state of Kentucky won't help us with that at all.
Well, let's get us back in. This is something they're gonna be able to fix. You know, I agree with your point. I think it would make an interesting court case. Maybe somebody gets one and we challenge it. We say, why can't we get fish? But this isn't something these gentlemen are gonna be able to.
And what you're talking about, we have several different divisions of our agency: engineering, fisheries, wildlife, law enforcement. We don't necessarily know everything that's going on with fisheries and fishing. I was not aware that you all asked for stockings and you were denied. But if they have a reason why they're not doing that, I can't explain.
Well, we could always ask again. Maybe there's a new commissioner, I'm sure, since we last asked, and I'm sure there's avenues. But gentlemen, I greatly thank you for your presentation today. We certainly want to comply with the regulations and laws. You've given us a lot to think about in terms of our dam. It is failing. It's something we'll think about and look at. Certainly the skiing down here is something we'll look at, and we'll certainly do more to encourage folks to obey all alcohol regulations as well. If there's anything else the board could do.
If anybody has any other questions, you can call the department or one of us.
we'll put these regulations on our website as well. If you send them to our office manager, she's on our website. We could do that as well, these QR codes and regulations.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's some hot dogs and chips and stuff.
Yes,
with your-
please help yourself.
help
Soda,
yourself.
hot dogs, anything.
We appreciate your time.
Anything like that. Under President's report this month, we have got the first application of the dust suppressant down from the hairpin turn to the dam. Lacey has been in
Not bad. Not bad for his first try. He didn't stand up. You gotta stand up. Tighten it up. Okay, now, you ready? Here we go.
One down.
You did one up, one down.
He tried to be sneaky. I turned this
I didn't know if
way,
you.
so.
Well, she
It
was
does.
doing
This is a lot heavier.
Oh, yeah.
I'm already shaking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was shaking.
It's time. You got 22 seconds.
Come over here and punch me in the back. Make me feel better.
Come on.
It's still hurting.
What is that thing?
It's a hand.
You made 30. You did good.
He's still going. Look at that.
Strong.
Good job, Mikey.
36.
I knew he was coming for me. That's why I had to go for 2 minutes.
Blakey. He's gonna beat me.
I'm gonna
Oh
beat you,
yeah,
and
he's
then I'll
gonna
put it
he's
down.
gonna
Go
beat
over
you.
a minute. Go over a minute.
All right, I'll do one and one.
159.
Wait, what did you do?
I
30. She did 30. She did a minute.
I'll beat you.
did
now.
She did a minute and a
Mikey,
second.
I'll tell you when
Me.
1-on-1's done.
159 is the time to beat.
No, I'm done.
If you're
Yeah,
competing in
Okay,
the-
we'll tell you when you're
You can't
there.
do things and then he does.
There's a minute.
No, it's not yet.
Ah, see,
It's a minute four.
minute
My arm, I
four.
can't.
Yes! Oh no.
House burned down. It's probably lot number 1024, I would say.
It could be 1026.
I think it's either 1024 or 1026. Burned to the ground.
Is it May 18th, 2024?
You can just hook it to the ball. It's good for 21,000. You made it. How'd you find the house? It was a fucking maze. How you doing?
Hey, how are ya?
I saw you up there at the gate. I didn't know you were coming here.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I ran into apparently the HOA president.
Here we go. Yes! Woo!
Did it.
Yeah, Lizzie!
public can ask, and then just if they did, if they did.
So for anybody who wonders what he's talking about, he safely actually goes to the reservoir.
Training, cleaning, and setting up.
I motioned for them to come to me. They ignored me, and they saw me, ignored me, and then drove away.